Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for coming. I would like to start by thanking you for being there and for giving me the chance to share my ideas with you. Okay, today when you speak about migrants, I think it is clear. We are talking about people leaving their countries, their village of origin to get to a new country. They leave because they are suffering, because of misery, because of war and torture. They leave in order to survive because they have no other choice. To leave your family, your land, often forever is always a terrible choice. Me also, I left my country. I am what is called a migrant. My name is Simon Mehari. I come from Eritrea, from the eastern part of the Horn of Africa. Eritrea is a small country with a coastline along the Red Sea on 1,100 kilometers. It had very rich grounds and many natural resources like gold, silver, natural gas, etc., etc. This is why Eritrea was colonized by the Ottoman Empire, Egypt, Italy, England, then Ethiopia. Eritrea got its independence from Ethiopia in 1991. I am 42 years old. I grew up under the domination of Ethiopia and the control of army. My parents participated actively in the network fighting for independence. This is the reality in which I grew up. With a real love of my country, I participated in the struggle. I took many risks for the sake of my country. In 1991, I was a teenager in secondary school. The liberation of the country was such a joyful moment. I took many risks of a joyful moment where we all so happy, but this liberty was short and when turned around quickly. The leaders announced they were going to create a constitutional government, but in practice we never see it. They also decided that all young people more than 18 years would integrate military service for 1 year and a half without being paid for it. At the time, we all agreed with this decision. After so many years of colonial exploitation, our country was poor and everybody wanted to defend it and to participate in the reconstruction of the country. I finished my secondary school in May 1996 and I rejoined in the 5th round of national service in June 1996. In 1998, war with Ethiopia started, a war that lasted for 2 years, a terrible war. There was hundreds of thousands of dead people of both sides. To explain this war, the government told us it was to save us from Ethiopian domination. It took several years to understand that we had been used in this death game played by our leaders to compete for power. When the war ended, we wanted to leave the army, join our family, get back to a normal life. But the chief wanted to keep a military state and to stay in power. We had no choice. We had to stay. The military chiefs were not educated people. They had no ability to administrate a state, and they didn't want us to get any kind of education. so that they could keep us under their control. Very soon, we won through hell. We get to know the deprivation of liberty, humiliation of prisons. The government organized a full system based on crime, denunciation and torture. We were afraid from each other, without any confidence even among friends. So many people start to look for a way to escape. It was the only solution to survive. Until this day, there are so many people jailed, tortured, and killed by the dictatorial system. It is still continuing. 80% of the population, men as well as women, are in the military. I was a soldier for 18 years. I was tortured many times. All my friends as well. Since 2004, I have been thinking about how to escape. In 2013, I had calculated carefully and organized very precisely how to flee. I arrived in Ethiopia at the beginning of 2014. This road is terrifying. You have to hide during the day, to move only at night under cover of darkness. You must not make any sound, always under the menace of soldiers or wild animals that could kill you. Then I left Ethiopia. There is no place to find shelter in Africa, in everywhere, in all countries. The colonial powers from the past were replaced by total dictatorship that impoverished and mistreated the population. I reached Sudan, paying $1,000 to traffickers. Like most of the others, I had no money. My sister living in Uganda managed to raise this amount of money. Then the travel was still terrible. Along the way, we are illegal, highly mistreated by people of the countries we crossed. We lost any human values. Now, no law to protect us. Sudan is a very dangerous country. The police can catch you anytime, kidnap you and extort you. During 6 days, I didn't go out. Then we had to cross the Sahara Desert and Libya. At the Libyan border, we were kidnapped and forced to pay $3,500. We couldn't pay, so we were tortured for 1 month. My sister found a way to get this money by borrowing to friends, neighbors, and families. Still, it took another 8 days to get to Tripoli. In Libya, traffickers are everywhere. They are armed gangs, and even the military can kidnap and extort you. Another $1,600 was required in order to cross the Mediterranean Sea by all wreck of boat, overloaded with people, with the risk it can sink. We all have more or less the same story. For those of us who had the luck to survive. More than 15,000 people have already died in the Mediterranean Sea. And this is without counting those dying every day along the road. The situation is still the same today. its border, and people continue to flee because they have no choice. Today, everybody is a witness of this massacre. The European authorities continue to let the traffickers make their dirty, very lucrative work, and thousands of people die. Which human values pretend to defend the democratic countries when they participate in such a massacre? How many dead people are necessary to realize the human disaster happening now? After this very long way, I finally arrived in Switzerland and asked for a status as an asylum seeker. Since then, I am trying to find a way to organize my life. It is very difficult. After 18 years of military service, I had no professional training. Knowing how to shoot a gun doesn't help much in Geneva. Now, I would like to speak about young ones because most of the people are very young. Here I am speaking especially about migrants coming from Africa. Africa is not poor. There are very rich soils and a lot of natural resources. It is one of the main reasons why Africa was converted the old colonial states. Today, the population are poor, dying of hunger, and have no benefits from this richness. Today, more than ever, we can witness this wide exploitation of resources, the radical privatization of the state, the corruption and the criminalization of the practice of power. The colonizers left behind them an Africa in debt, economically independent. They participated in displacing the military powers and dictators with whom they continue to make business. Most African leaders respect no human rights and no laws. They didn't care about education for people. The debt continued to grow, so there is no money for education, for hospital, for development, for society. Young people are growing up without education, without training. They have no perspective for the future. They didn't have the competence to participate in the good development of their society. They are lost. Their lack of education helps the corrupt power to keep its position. Their lack of education is also a serious problem when they arrive in a new country. They do not have a profession and no access to training. Their future is terrible. They cannot build projects to participate in their new society, neither they can help the development of their country of origin. They are the new generation. They will build tomorrow's world. They will build tomorrow's world. They need help to get training, to learn a profession, to think about their own future and for the future of humanity. They need all your support, your knowledge, your ideas, your actions. I am one of those people who are lost. What can I do? Since my arrival, I worked very hard to learn the language, to meet people, to find a way for integration, find ways to learn a profession. I make many ways, a little by little. But still, discovering the people, the codes, the culture, the language of a new society is very difficult for those who have just arrived. It is very difficult and it's a long process, but it can be changing if local peoples are generous and try to connect. We can carry together with a lot of effort to make things better. I have the impression that you are understanding me. Thank you very much.